What's going on, y'all? It's Daniel Litwin, the voice of B2B, and welcome to another Premio podcast here from ISC West 2025, where we're learning about the major solutions and services that are shaping the future of the surveillance and security industries, but also telling the stories of how edge compute are powering those use cases and defining this Industry 4.0 era for surveillance and security. So today we're going to be doing a bit of a partner discussion here. I'll let our guests introduce themselves. You first. Go ahead and let our audience know who you are and who you're with.
My name is Bearing Smulders. I am Chief Marketing Officer for Dedrone by Axon, and I have been in the aerospace security industry for about 6 years now.
Awesome. And from our Premio team?
Hi, my name is Kenneth Howe. I'm the Regional Sales Manager from Premio. I've been working with the Dedrone customer for about 2 to 3 years now.
Awesome. So, you may have guessed it, we're going to be talking a little bit about how Dedrone here actually leverages Premio's edge computing solutions to power their solutions in the field, and why this partnership was even birthed in the first place. But I'm actually excited to learn more about Dedrone's work here, because there's no better way to understand why Premio was chosen in the first place than by understanding the kind of gravity of the work that Dedrone does. So being in the larger security and surveillance space, doing work to counter drone operations, can you give our audience a little clarity on the core mission, the core solutions and services that Dedrone provides to the field, kind of how y'all see yourselves in the space?
Yeah, absolutely. So Dedrone by Axon is the global leader in airspace security. And when we talk about airspace security, there are actually two sides to it. We, in very simple terms, stop the bad drones from flying and enable the good drones to fly. And I think both of those make a lot of sense. Enable the good drones to fly. Everyone would love their package to be delivered at their doorstep within an hour. And that industry is surely coming. Every day I wake up and I see a new application for a drone.
Yeah.
The latest, my favorite one, was actually a drone defibrillator.
Okay.
Call 911 and it's defibrillator for drummies. It comes to your front door and it works faster than, yeah.
Sign you up for that one.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. A drone is a tool.
Yes.
And like every tool, in the wrong hands, drones can be used for malicious purposes.
Right.
And that's really the focus of where we spend our time with Premio.
Yeah.
So we are the global leader in counter-drone technology. That is dual use, is the term we use in the industry. Both public safety and national security. So think police and enterprise security like we have at ISC West here today. But also on the military front. We've all heard about drones in the Ukraine-Russian conflict.
Right.
We play in all three of those spaces. And so constantly, like in every security situation, thinking about combating the next threat. And when you think about drones as a specific threat, that's really happening on the Ukraine front. When you think about protecting from drones, there is fixed site drones. I'm protecting this building, or I'm protecting a prison or a stadium. On the front line, a lot of those facilities or assets are on the move.
Right.
And that's really where this solution comes to play.
Yeah. So the main solution that y'all have partnered on is called DedroneOnTheMove. Is that correct? Yes. Okay, perfect. I did my homework. Yes, thank you. Yeah, I mean, you brought up the, Russo-Ukraine conflict. And yeah, that's a great example of how quickly warfare is evolving and the way that drones are being used in the field. Again, in situations where, you're not in a fixed environment, you have to have hardware that can respond in rugged environments, that can stay operational on wheels, and that has no downtime, right? And that's reliable. Obviously, in warfare, you don't want something to jam on you, metaphorically or literally, right? So, tell me a little bit about DedroneOnTheMove. When y'all were designing this product, what was the goal, right? What kind of actual real-world situations was DedroneOnTheMove going to have to be deployed in? And paint that picture for us.
So the use case is pretty straightforward.
Sure.
I need drone protection from malicious or unauthorized drones while moving.
Right.
Hey, it's kind of sounds funny, but at the simplest case, it's actually very high net worth or very important people, politicians, either oftentimes just for paparazzi,
Yeah. Right.
right? Where you need that protection.
Right.
At the other extreme, to your point, it's in a military environment. Now I'm in they call them PMVs, personal mobility vehicles.
Okay.
And I need to transport troops or weapons or other assets near or in a conflict zone.
Right.
And so we were designing a solution that was obviously effective and durable, low maintenance to your point, but also at a price point where you can put it on every vehicle.
Yeah.
It can't be so expensive that, only certain vehicles mandate it. When you think about it in a war situation, we wanted to get to a place where every vehicle could be retrofitted with a DedroneOnTheMove solution.
Totally.
So we were looking for something, like you said, durable, mil standard, low maintenance is really important, the way the cooling system works.
Sure. Right.
And strong enough local compute power to be able to do our AI on the edge computing.
Right. So tell me a little bit about that. What kind of AI edge computing is needed in this solution, and how does that complement the larger, use case of quickly responding to and, let's say, grounding a malicious drone?
Okay, when it comes to a bad drone,
Yeah.
there are 4 steps.
Okay.
The first 3 go together. Detect, track, identify. Detect the drone before it gets in the danger zone.
Right.
Track is a fancy word for locate all the time. So you're seeing where the drone is going.
Right.
If it is RF controlled, then we can also find the controller. Presumably, we find the pilot holding the controller.
Right.
So that's the sort of locate. And then identify happens on 2 vectors. One is, especially in a war-type environment, unlike the messy Russian-Ukrainian conflict, friend or foe?
Right.
That seems like a really simple question. But if you're salvaging bits of drone that fell on your side to reuse because you're being
Resourceful.
there are parts of everything in there.
Right.
So the first thing we do is detect, track, where is it, and then identify it, friend or foe.
Sure.
The second bit of identify is what kind of drone is it? That informs you on payload capability, range, speed, and give you a sense of what level of threat that's identify. For today on the move and where we're working with Premio, that's what we do. That's where we use it. The last piece, which everybody loves to talk about, is can I shoot it out of the sky?
Yeah.
Well, and more you can.
Yeah, sure.
The U.S. state side, we have, frankly, antiquated laws
Yeah.
that consider a drone an aircraft, and a drone has virtually the same protections as a Boeing 777 full of humans.
Ah.
That's crazy. Let that sink in for a while.
2 slightly different situations there. Yeah.
But back to military, which is the biggest use case for on the move.
Right.
You are allowed to shoot them down. And what happens then is a partnership. We process that data. We have, okay, it is a foe. It's this kind of drone. Right. Therefore, we should use this kind of weapon against it. And the Dedrone solution with Premio acts as the targeting system for whatever weapon solution makes sense for that specific drone.
Gotcha.
In fact, we just had a press release last week with a company called Thales,
Okay.
where they were it's called MWS, Mobile Weapon System,
Okay.
to go with our on-the-move solution.
Nice. So all of that, detect, track, identify, and then blast out of the air. All of that, to put it, lightly, all of that takes, like you said, AI edge computing, correct? And so that means a heavy workload of real-time processing, leveraging spatial intelligence, and then being able to feed that data in real time to a select crew that can then act on said information. So when you were looking, and when you and your team were looking for the edge computer that was going to support that kind of workload, what were the specs or the outcomes that you were most focused on as you were shopping around?
Yeah, I mean, I think we said it at the top.
Right. Ruggedized, yep.
Low maintenance.
Yep.
And that's especially important when we're out on the field. You don't want to be supplying everybody with field kits. It's just got to work what it needs to work.
Right.
Right. And then price point. Like, we really do want this on every PMV that's out there.
Right.
And that's the ultimate goal.
Scale.
Whether it's terrestrial or ocean or sea or lake, marine.
Right. Okay, nice. So now let's loop in Premio here. When y'all were hit up by Dedrone here with this opportunity, and they laid out their needs, right? How did you interpret those needs to then scan the Premio product suite and try to make sense of which of your various options were actually going to be the best fit for this kind of low maintenance, right? Heavy workload, but also scalable and cost-effective implementation?
No, absolutely. That's a great question. And just to take a step back for context,
Sure.
We've been partnering for the drone for several years now. This is actually a second generation of a collaboration.
Very cool.
So going back to, a few years ago, so we kind of have a very good rapport of what they're looking for, what they need from our side, and in terms of what we need to offer them as part of our products. Yeah. So when they approached us for this opportunity for the second generation product, we looked at, into what, just to kind of touch on one very loose area, price point, reliability, and also performance. Those are the trifecta of what is a suitable product for this project. And so we, looked at our products and we identified a few that were, fit these needs, high performance, ruggedized, and and has been deployed in mass production in the field already, for various customers. So we know the proven capabilities. So that's how we narrow it down. We work closely with their engineering team to kind of really narrow down the best candidate.
Love it. And so what did that process look like iteratively, right? I mean, I imagine there's a little bit of trial and error, testing out different products and feeling out what's actually going to work best. So walk through what that initial decision-making process looked like once y'all identified the product, actually getting in the field, testing it out, making sure it worked right.
Well, we don't know the nitty-gritty of their use case because it's very sensitive
I imagine.
application. But like I mentioned, the important part for us is to understand their needs.
Sure.
And working closely with their technical team to see what works and what doesn't, and get constant feedback from their team. Hey, this part's good, this part's not good, and kind of go from there.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the one thing I would add to that, to your point, sure, we have worked together, so there's kind of a short speak. But I think there's a level of trust that we understand what we're trying to get at, which makes those work very little. It was pretty fast.
Yeah.
Very little interviews, like
Very smooth. Yeah. Which is great for everyone involved. Yeah.
So this is now fully launched out in the field and is being used actively, yes?
Yep.
Awesome. So now that we see this partnership in action, are you seeing the outcomes you expected, right? Is the edge computer operating as expected? And what kind of outcomes is it facilitating, right? How are these now mobile teams, especially in high-risk environments, making best use of this? I mean,
that's classified, Dave.
Yeah, I know. I tried that. I knew I wasn't going to get an answer, but
We're very happy with the joint solution.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we are optimistic about the opportunity of this new solution that we've launched.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
We're expanding its use, like I said, from terrestrial to other types of vehicles.
Right.
Soon to come, special operation forces.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. And just jumping onto that, I think, the highlight of the Ukraine battlefield and the prevalence of drone in it is a really good point to bring up because we're seeing now this situation being a catalyst for drone warfare like we never seen before.
Right.
In a way that we haven't really seen before in other conflicts. I mean, you're seeing everything from quadcopters to fixed wing to point of view drones manufactured from all sorts of countries, right? From Turkey, Iran, Russia, Ukraine, even the US itself. So I think this being the situation that is, we're very excited to work with a capable partner like Dedrone to really test out, our capabilities as well, and partner with them to do this very important work in real time on this very crucial front.
Definitely.
I mean, it's a sad truth. I don't know if I would use the word highlight, but it is true.
I mean, yeah,
Drones are the new Fort Adapter of war.
definitely.
And this conflict will be remembered as a redefinition of what airspace supremacy means. Since World War I in the early 1900s, it was defined as the country with the most capable airplanes and the most half crazy, maybe daring, capable pilots.
Yeah.
And the Russian-Ukraine war has redefined what it means to have that airspace superiority in a conflict.
But I'm curious too, since we can't talk too much about the classified information, if we look at some of the use cases which are more to do with public safety, more domestically, looking out into the field, what are some of the ways that you're seeing evolve to kind of match the environment of anti-drone operations, right? Like, how is the task of anti-drone operations evolving in real time? And how does that shape, how y'all invest in the solutions to respond to the times?
So, in the beginning,
Yeah.
all drones were pretty much controlled by radio frequency.
Yeah.
And when you think about the drone you got for Christmas, or really any of the even drone as first responders that we're seeing in the US, they're all radio frequency control, which means you have a handheld controller that is using radio frequency signal to direct the drone.
Yeah.
And at its core, that's where Dedrone by Axon started.
Right.
We have specialized sensors that listen for that radio frequency at its most basic. If you invent a drone that doesn't have radio frequency as its control mechanism, then a radio frequency sensor is essentially blind.
Right.
That for sure exists now in a couple of forms. Autonomous drones, they use GPS or GNSS waypoints.
Yeah.
Fly here, fly there, fly there. When you get to this location, open your claw, drop, and then come home.
Right.
It does in my free programmed waypoints. There's no RF control. And we have evolved to add additional sensors
Right.
that can pick up those kind of drones. Another one that is also RF silent is fiber optically controlled drones. This is crazy. They trust doing one fiber optic thread instead of pre-programmed or RF. So they're actually continuously attached. There are stories.
Like there's a tail like hanging off of the drone.
And so you don't need RF because I'm communicating through the thread.
Right.
There are stories of 30-kilometer long threads.
Wow.
Again, you need a different kind of sensor and a different kind of mitigation system
Right.
for that. There's spoofing. That's a new one.
Okay.
We are controlling by radio frequency,
Right.
but we are essentially lying in the radio frequency thread. So
Sending a fake signal, essentially? Yeah.
with the signal, the unencrypted one perhaps, or the lightly encrypted one is saying, I'm flying over here in Canada looking at the beautiful trees.
Right.
And yet, when we see it, our sensors are going, well, it's saying it's in Canada, but I can see it right here over the Army pit.
Right.
Another one that you mentioned was FPV, or first-person view
Okay.
runs. They are actually RF mostly. Some of them are spoofed, as in I'm lying about where I am.
Right.
But they are incredibly fast and targeted in what they do. So like you said, each new threat begs a new solution. We're continuously innovating, mostly on the sensor side, different types of sensors that we're integrating in. So today we can do radio frequency. We spent a lot of time on that, but we could also bring in radar, optical, anything from a straightforward access camera all the way up to a super fancy EOIR, move type camera.
Sure.
And acoustics.
Yeah.
And again, that will require more compute to do what we call AI-driven sensor fusion to get a true picture of the sky.
Which combines all of the data from all those various sensors. So thank you for being so detailed with that, because I wanted to ask on the Premio side too.
You're detailed.
No, good. It's good. The computing side of it has to be able to not only connect with and process data from all these different sensors, but then also, as Mary Lou's saying, then be able to fuse that data together and provide a bigger picture, a true picture of where this drone is, what it's doing, what it's connected to, what its next actions are, and how to counter it. So tell me a little bit about how, Premio designs its products with this kind of multi-sensor computing in mind, with this sensor fusion in mind. Like how do y'all design from the ground up to be able to support that sort of complex use case in the field?
Sure. I think, no, that's a great question. I think at our core, Premio is, we focus mostly on the compute side, right? Meaning we leverage the latest technology because we have deep relationship with partners like Intel and NVIDIA and so forth. The fusing of the sensor side, I think we provide the compute hardware as a tool for our customers, and they're able to take our capability and use it to whatever they need to do. So we have teams of senior engineers both in our base in Taiwan and our headquarters here in LA, in the Los Angeles area, to be able to formulate a deeper understanding of our customers' needs and kind of help them if they need to kind of be lockstep with them for their project development needs. But I think the drone is, a leader in what they do, and they're able to take our products and really do amazing things with it. So it's they do most of the legwork. But we do what we do best, and they do what they do best.
Without revealing the actual solution in the field necessarily, if it's all kind of hush-hush, what are some of the under-the-hood computing decisions that Premio makes to support use cases like this? Like what kind of GPUs, what kind of AI computing, extra bit, obviously your edge boost IOs, which are customizable, which can adapt to different situations. Just give me an example of how one of your products might fit into a situation like this.
Yeah, and actually for this question, I'd like to speak to our involvement with the security and defense field at large, because I think that's a great question. Some of our core capabilities, besides just the compute side, is to, for example, design units that have flexibility in providing the kind of IOs and the kind of different accessories and options that our customer needs. So you spoke about our Edge Boost module, which is basically a way for us to slot in a richer connectivity into our embedded units and provide that mission flexibility for our customers. So
let's say you got 4 or 5 different sensors in the field, right?
Yep. And then if, for example, they need more processing power beyond just what the CPU can provide, we can install, for example, a powerful GPU, or using the latest in Jetson technology from NVIDIA, and really that takes the processing power to the next level for our customers.
Cool. Well, it's clear that the partnership y'all have got is producing some powerful solutions. And though we can't say with specificity how they're working in the field, we can imagine that, what y'all have built here is something highly capable and flexible. That's also, as we have, talked about before, this idea of future-proofing the solutions as well. The fact that they are so customizable means that as drone bad actors out there get fancy and creative with how they want to put their drones out into the battlefield or above a stadium or to target some VIP, the counter-drone solutions can adapt. And the computing powerhouse, the brain, can adapt as well without having to rethink the entire operation.
You just named a key core mandate from the U.S. DoD. that says, they call it spiral development. Nice. And it's the idea that we all understand we have this evolving threat.
Yeah.
But replacing hardware is really hard and expensive.
Oh, yeah.
It is much easier to update the software component to keep up with the threats.
Yes.
And that is absolutely a development goal of ours.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, this kind of partnership y'all have, I think is a perfect example of that in action, right? So really cool to see. Well, thank you, Mary Lou, for your time. Ken, thank you so much for your analysis and for shedding some light on this partnership. Just more generally, anything exciting on the Dedrone horizon that you want to share with our audience?
I'll give you this, just off the show floor.
Yeah.
When I first came here 6 years ago, I felt like I was chasing people around on the hallways going, no, you have this problem. It's called annoying robo.
Right.
Well beyond the Ukraine-Russian conflict. Right here, stateside, your everyday police department or a data warehouse or whatever it may be is saying, we have a drone issue and we need help.
I mean,
So the whole ethos of the industry has really leapt forward.
I love that. People are starting to acknowledge that this is a new modus operandi, you know what I mean?
You cannot build a fence high enough or hire a guard strong enough
Right.
to defeat a $200 Walmart drone.
Right. It's true. Whether it is the simplest nuisance to some of the most intensive mission-critical environments, drones are here, and the need to counter them is here. So it's really cool to see the way y'all are partnering to develop solutions that are proving in the field that, counter drone operations can be nimble, flexible, and accurate, right? Demystified. So thank you again. Again, folks, we've been chatting with Dedrone and Premio here. And Mary Lou, if folks want to learn a little bit more about the work Dedrone's doing, maybe get in touch, how can they do so?
Dedrone.com.
Easy enough. And Ken, on Premio's side?
PremioInc.com.
You learned that from me. I started spelling ink so they knew it wasn't like a printing company. INK.com, right? Yeah, right. Smart. Anyways, folks, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure. Mary Lou, thank you. Ken, thank you. And folks, we'll catch you on some more content here out of ISC West 2025 with the Premio team. I'm your host, Daniel Litwin, the voice of B2B. We'll catch you on the next one.